Very special guest on the chatter today. It's Mark Dohner. A bunch of titles we can give him, but let's just start with the fact that he's an Ohio University guy. So 3 Bobcats right now in this little StreamYard. We had Evan Romansky on a couple of weeks ago. He talked about his transition from the journalism school at Ohio U out to Hollywood. Dohner did the same. Video creation, acting, singing songs, probably dances too, does a little bit of everything. It's Mark Dohner, ladies and gentlemen. What's going
Thanks
on,
for
man?
having
How
me
you
on.
doing?
I'm doing well, man. I'm at my parents' house in Ohio visiting the family, just playing golf, living life.
Let's go back to the beginning. I want to hit this thing chronologically because I think you have a very
Yeah.
interesting story and a story that can help some people out with a bunch of different things. One being perseverance. This has nothing to do with perseverance. This has to do with a little bit of luck, I guess. The fact that when you were a young reporter at WUB, trying to be a sports guy like myself, that
hmm
was your original love. You wanted to be the next
Yeah.
Scott Van Pelt, and you discovered a young athlete by the name of Joe Burrow. I think you may have been one of the first people on this planet, not from Athens, Ohio, to know who Joe Burrow was.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I wouldn't say I discovered him, but when I first went to Ohio University as a freshman, I wanted to be a reporter, but they had all these rules of like seniority. So as a freshman, you're like, oh, you got to work your way up to get on air. So I was like, oh, what can I do to get involved? And they're like, well, we need some more tech guys. We need people to be behind the camera. So I was like, all right, cool. Let me do it. So they put me in the TVC Ohio, which was the Athens football team. That was their league down in Ohio. And I just filmed Joe Burrow, Athens, just crushing everyone every single week. The dude would throw like 7 touchdowns and 500 yards. It was insane. I wish I had some of the footage still. I'm sure I could probably make some bucks off of it.
One thing you do have, yeah, and I saw him play some basketball games. He played against Akron St. Vincent St. Mary one year when I covered him, and he was a pretty good basketball player too. I mean, probably could have played D2 with Houdini had they both decided to go that route. Let's talk about catching your first break, man, because one thing you did, I believe it was junior year, correct me if I'm wrong, your dad got you a camera for Christmas, and you guys split it. Obviously, you used it a little more than he did
Yeah.
then and now. You got into the content creation game, and one of your big breaks was Ohio University Fest videos, where you went out there and filmed some of the biggest jackasses on campus.
Yep.
I was not there. I digress. I may or may not have been there. We can talk about that. But just take me through that time of your life.
If you're not familiar with Ohio University, there's a fest season, and basically there's a street fest leading up to this number fest. So we had like High Fest, Mill Fest, Palmer Fest, Palmer Place Fest, and then the Number Fest. So I was like, let me just make a video of this fest of all these, the number one party school partying. I
Don't
posted it.
forget about Mill Iron Fest.
Oh yeah, sorry. I posted the video, and to me it went viral. Like I had 0 subscribers. I just made this video. I think it was a Friday or Saturday. I edited it. I posted it on a Wednesday. Had like 40 or 50,000 views, and I was like, this is crazy, dude. I got to do the next one. So then I posted the next one, which was High Fest. And then that got picked up by like Bro Bible or some like publication posted it, and like people at Ohio State were watching it. That one did like 75,000 views. And I was like, this is nuts. I got to make another one. So the next year I was like, I'm going all in on this. I rented a donkey. I like set up this whole thing like Devin Supertramp. I'm like, we're going to have this crazy intro where this guy goes on a longboard down the hill and he dives down a slip and slide with like people pouring beer on him. And then he's going to chug from this big bottle of Belvedere that I bought. I was like, this video is going to go viral. And it just tanked. And I was so pissed because as a broke college kid, I put like $180 into this video and it just tanked.
Let's talk about one kind of a scenario that was botched as well that I recall. So if you remember the hot tub apartments on
Yes.
North Congress. So I actually lived in one. And for people that don't know, we had a hot tub in our living room, literally. So naturally, I think you were like, this is great to add in from a content perspective. And you were probably thinking like, we get a bunch of hot chicks in this, everyone's drinking and partying. And I come back one time and all these lights were set up and mics and shit. And I was like, we're setting up a porno. I was like, all right, they're doing a porno here. And it turns out it ended up just being Chuck with like goggles on and a bunch of suds in the hot tub. So we ended up nixing the whole thing.
And it was good content. I mean, that's the thing. He probably has it somewhere, and it's gold content. We're diving off couches into a hot tub. It's like carnage, but there were no ladies there. So he has the footage somewhere, and he nixed it. Also, the footage of me when I went in my mooning phase and was running around all the fest mooning his camera. He probably has that somewhere. And let's keep that one on the DL.
Maybe I could send it to you. I think I do have the hard drive back in Los Angeles.
So when I first started noticing some of your content and it looks like you've kind of strayed away from it completely, at least recently, as far as Instagram's concerned, you were doing a bunch of like couples Instagram, like, if your girlfriend asked you to do the dishes or something like that.
Yeah.
And you got a lot of traction based on, just the commentary. Was that like an intentional kind of marketing play on your part to get, like, it seemed like the younger crowd associated with it quite a bit, and you started to grow the followers there, and then it looks like you kind of veered off of that particular path, but I'm just curious on that.
Well, at the time I was just, for those of the people that don't know, I went to Ohio University. I met Logan Paul there, and I started working with him because we were kind of the only two guys on campus making videos. So I reached out to him. I said, hey, let me shoot some of your videos. Like, this is what I want to do. I love YouTube. You were doing Vine at the time. So we connected back in Cleveland. He moved out to Los Angeles and then flew me out to be his full-time video creator and editor. And he just started getting busy with other stuff. And I was filming all of his skits and helping him with that. I just had a lot of free time on my hands. And I was at this place, 1600 Vine. It's like infamous now. But every creator that was big or someone lived in this place. Down the hall, you had King Batch, you had Amanda Cerny, you had Christian Del Grosso, Anwar, FouseyTube, Lance 210, Rudy Mancuso. The whole Viner crew was living there. And every day it was just wake up, create Vines, collab, make Vines. And then it got to a point where I was just making Vines for other people. And I was sitting around, doing nothing when Logan was busy. So I was like, why don't I do this? So what I started to do is I started to tell people, hey, can you tag me because I shot your video? Just put filmed by, like, whatever, that film emoji, Mark Dohner. And I realized that I wasn't really growing. So then what I started to leverage was like, hey, I'll film this video for you and edit it if you'll be in a video for me. So I would go over to Amanda Cerny's, I'd film her video, I'd edit it for her, I'd send it off to her. But while I was over there, I'd shoot a video with her because it helped me out having these big names in my thing. But a lot of people get the mistake. They think I started on Vine. I made like a couple Vines, but at the time, Instagram introduced 60-second videos. And this was kind of my opportunity. And looking back on it now, I didn't realize it. But when a platform introduces a new feature, if you attack that feature, they're going to push you. And this was kind of the first time a platform had done that. So when I, was making these 60-second videos, all my, Rudy Mancuso in the gym one day was like, dude, like, I only had like, 20,000, 30,000 followers. He's like, dude, your videos are going crazy. Like, what is it that you're doing? And I was like, I don't know, dude. Like, every video I post is just getting millions and millions of views. But it turns out, algorithmically, I was getting pushed because I was attacking that new feature. It was going on everybody's Explore page. And basically my concept was a lot of my videos involve no talking. And what I learned through that and watching these other creators is it's universal, right? If you could tell something visually, someone that doesn't speak English can still understand what's happening through your video. So what I would do is get a catchy, popular song, put these, I call it internet acting. We would just, over exaggerate these things. And then, it would just pop off on Facebook. It would pop off on Instagram. But I strayed away from it just as I'm, matured and got older. And I was like, yeah, I did this for a while. It's kind of time to move on to the next thing. And that introduced vlogging.
So before we get into vlogging, and this may have been around the same time, one of your videos that went viral was you and Logan Paul dabbing at every single United States event. So they showed, on the NBC broadcast, they showed you guys at the sand volleyball game hitting the dab. They showed you at the basketball game hitting the dab, everything, swimming, dabbing.
We just started to go to every event. And I think we got on TV like one or two times, or we got on TV once and we're like, oh, let's dab. And then we're like, oh, let's try to get on at every event we go to. Let's just be maniacs and like fight for the camera and just be completely obnoxious because, there weren't like a lot of America fans at certain events. So we just started finding the camera essentially and being totally obnoxious the whole time. So they would be forced to put the camera on us. And I'm calling Logan out because I invented the double dab. I was doing this during that, right? We were supposed to make another video, the double dab, and he stole my idea and did it with Kevin Hart in Hawaii. And I'm pissed about it because that was me. Because on the plane ride to Hawaii, we were supposed to come up with a video idea for Kevin Hart. And he's like, we didn't have anything. He's like, I think I'm going to do the double dab with Kevin Hart. And I was like, oh,
Devastated.
that's my thing. During the national anthem, I didn't want to do it because it was the freaking national anthem, but we were just placed perfectly behind those flags. And he's like, all right, when they bring up these flags, we got to just hit a nice, it looks like it's in slow motion because we did it so like respectfully.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like, we got to do it. And I'm like, I don't want to do it, bro. It's so disrespectful. He's like, dude, trust me, just do it. So then we did it. And then the video got like, I can't even remember, like 60 million views on Facebook.
All right, you heard it here first. Still bad blood for Logan Paul stealing the double dab from Dohner.
Yeah.
We'll try to sort that out.
It was a good time, though. I mean, that was my first time to Brazil. And Brazil was like a really eye-opening country. And I'm really thankful for that trip and thankful that Logan got the opportunity to go there and he brought me along.
Yeah, you had a better time there than Ryan Lochte. All right, Houdini.
Talking about this earlier, you guys do so much. People in the content game, it's it's Facebook, YouTube, it's Instagram, and it's sometimes it's hard to keep track of what all the content that's coming out because you guys are just content machines. But what I didn't know on your end, and a lot of those creators do this too, is I checked out your Spotify page actually, and you got a couple of bangers in there. I was just listening to one track called Threesome. And this thing's it's got millions of streams. I'm just curious as far as, is that something you're still pursuing, or is that just kind of a background hobby? Like when you just think of a banger like Threesome, you just got to get in the studio, or how does that work for you?
So, the only reason I started doing music, I played piano growing up, and that's one of my biggest regrets in life is stopping piano. I think I played in 5th grade, and the reason I stopped was because my teacher was teaching me all this classical stuff, and I just wanted to learn like the pop songs that were on the radio, and she wasn't willing to teach me those, so I stopped. But later on in life, I started vlogging, I grew my platform, and Logan and Jake started to release these diss tracks on each other, and I was like, what if I just make a real song and then shock everyone because they're gonna think I'm making this diss track or it's a funny track. So I came out with a song called Does Your Mama Know? And everyone was like, what the hell? Like, I didn't know you could sing. Like, where is this coming from? Shout out to Life of Dylan, these two guys. They helped me with the song. So we wrote that, and I kind of just never did music again. And then the pandemic hit, I believe. And I was just like, I couldn't really vlog much. I couldn't go out because, I would go out and vlog, and I was getting clapped in the comments saying like, oh, you're being so disrespectful. There's a pandemic going on. Like, you need to stay inside. So I just felt this guilt of like, I don't know. I don't want to get into the political side of things, but I got in the studio. I wrote a few songs, and that Threesome song, actually, I was laying down another song I wrote, No Love in LA. And I was with a writer, his name's Parker. And I told him I had this idea. I'm like, hey man, I'm going through this situation right now. I want to write a song about it. And basically I was talking to this one girl, and I was like, hanging out with this girl. And then she introduced me to her friend. And I was like, oh shit, like I vibe with your friend way more than I vibe with you. So how do I navigate telling you that I'm not into you anymore, but I'm into your friend? So that was kind of the basis of the idea. And while I was laying down the track, No Love in LA, he was like, I came up with this like funny idea. What do you think of this? He's like, Threesome. I was like, oh, that's hilarious. Let's do it. So we wrote the song. And then the guy that actually set me up with the session, I asked him what he thought of all the songs. And I was like, what do you think of Threesome? He's like, it's not a serious song. It's not going to do well. No one's going to take you serious if you release this song. And I remember after that studio session, I played all the songs to my friends, and the only one they kept singing was Threesome. So I was like, okay, we have something here. And then just through, TikTok marketing, I was able to get it to blow up. I created a trend. Well, I'm not even going to say I created a trend because there was already a trend with this song, like, I want a three-way, like the Backstreet Boys thing. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to replicate this exact trend with my new song. I'm going to get a few of my friends to do the same exact trend. They all went viral. And then next thing you know, random people are making the trend. And then one of them blew up on Instagram. That's actually when my song took off, because someone made one and then a meme page reposted it on Instagram. And that shit went viral. Like these 10 million, meme pages were posting this thing. And I was like, because I can't remember what I was doing at the time. I think I was out golfing actually. And I'm like checking my streams and it's just blowing up. I'm like, oh my God, this is fucking crazy. It was getting like hundreds of thousands of streams in like 24 hours. And yeah, but I'm to get back to your question, I'm still making music. Just the process of creating music to me isn't as enjoyable because there's less control. There's more moving parts. For example, I could film a YouTube video today and have it out tomorrow. I could go to the studio and make a song, but then I got to wait on the producer. I got to get them mixed, and then I got to go send it to a mixing engineer and a mastering engineer. And then you got to do the cover art, and then you have to upload it to Spotify like a month in advance so that you can maybe get on New Music Friday. So like from start to finish, a song can take 6 months to get out, whereas a YouTube video can take 12 hours.
One of the things that's always impressed me about you, going back to, I was a year older than you in college. We graduated the same time because he got his schoolwork done very quickly. And one of the things that always impressed me is you were just a Gruden grinder, as we like to say in the sports industry, like nonstop. You loved going to surgery on your computer, editing VOs and SOTs, and whether you're in the content, whether it was sports back in the day, you were a really good shooter. You actually helped me put together my first reel and get me a job. I think I traded that for maybe like a bottle of vodka. I think for one of those parties, I may have chipped in for all that Kamchatka for the Belvedere. I think I drove you there is what it was. You wanted my car.
Yeah.
But dude, it's a grind, and you're working your ass off in it. But with that grind comes hardships. I've seen it in TV, times where, you go through not the writer's block, but the creator's block, and stuff's not coming as easily, or it's not popping like it once was, or your audience is changing, or you're just changing. I mean, you're getting older, things that were funny to you at 24, you may not want to do it at 28 or 29. Take me through some of the hardships that come with this career.
There is a lot of ups and downs, and I think the hardest thing really is transitioning from one thing to another, right? Like one thing is hot at one time and then it's not hot anymore. For example, the skits, they were popping, but then everybody started to redirect their attention to vlogs. So I'm like, all right, got to hop on this vlog train. So then I attacked the vlog, and then the vlog started to die off a little bit. And it's like, all right, what's everybody doing now? They're doing podcasts. Okay. Then I started a podcast and I still was making the vlogs, and I still had a Facebook show. And then I was like doing music. And then nowadays it's like, all right, everybody's on TikTok, everybody's on YouTube Shorts, and it's really a matter of adapting. And in the case with me, I think it's just a little overwhelming, right? Like I used to get away with posting maybe 2 to 3 skits a week. Then it was daily vlogs I have to post. And then now on TikTok, it's like, bro, you need to post like 5 TikToks a day. And when you film your life every single day for 2 years straight, you kind of start to run out of ideas. You're like, dude, how many times can I film myself going to the gym? How many times can I film myself eating food? How many times can I do this, that, and the other? And at some point it drives you fucking nuts. You know what I mean? Like you look at someone like Mr. Beast, he's got a whole, team coming up with ideas.
That guy's wild, man. He is ridiculous.
Yeah. But at some point it's like, what more can you do? You know what I mean? So yeah, I think a lot of the hardships come with that. I think a lot of the hardships come with, well, yeah, if you don't transition, then it's definitely going to be a struggle, and it has for me. And I think, I worked really fucking hard for several years straight, and I'm thankful enough to, I've gotten the brand deals I've gotten and the partnerships that I've gotten to be good financially. But I'm at a point now where I'm like, all right, what's next for me? Like, as you said, like when I was, in my early 20s, it was a lot of suggestive content and, oh, this is funny. And now that I'm 29, it's like, yeah, I don't really want to do that anymore, man. I don't want to make these weird facial expressions for 14-year-olds to laugh. Like, I'm 29 years old. I don't want to act like a kid anymore.
One of the things that really impressed me, but at the same time I felt like you definitely had to navigate through the murky waters with, was, I mean, like you said, you vlogged for 2 years, you never got a day off. I was with you at Coachella, And I mean, it's awesome. You're walking around, you're VIP. You're introducing me to G-Eazy. I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. I can get used to this. But at the same time, you had that camera on you. You know, we're drinking tequila Red Bulls, so we are leisuring somewhat. But every once in a while, you're like, give me 20 seconds here. And someone would have on these shoes, and what are those? You know, and you had to go up with your camera, and then you'd snap back into reality. You know, you kind of have to go into character. Like, how difficult is that every single day to do?
It's hard because especially when you're going through a relationship and you project this positivity, which I did, and you know, you'd be in an argument with your girlfriend and you're like, well, I got to film, like I got to get this video out tomorrow. So it's like, it's kind of like it's a performance, right? Like you got to always be on, but you saw it, right? Like I could be normal and hang out, but then I'm like, when that camera's on, I'm full go. And the more you do it, I guess the easier it gets. For example, when I first started vlogging, it would be an all-day occurrence, like, oh, today's the whole vlog. But once you start to get the hang of it and realize like what you need to do and start editing the video in your head as you're making it, it becomes a little bit easier where you can go hang out for 45 minutes and then do like a 10-minute spurt of content. And, you know, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, do you feel like sometimes when because like you said, you're filming like almost everyday life, right? And it kind of leads me to, you know, it's almost like when you're filming somebody or a party and you slowly move the camera around, everybody's acting normal, and then they start chugging like Kamchatka or start ripping shots. Do you ever feel like you're kind of it's almost like you have your on camera personality and it's almost kind of two separate people? I mean, obviously it's still you, but I'm assuming a little exaggerated and things like that. Is that something that you feel is true?
Yeah, I mean, when the camera's rolling, it's like, you know what it is. It's a performance, whether it's my camera or someone else's camera. But, you know, when a lot of people meet me, actually, they always say like, wow, I actually like the you version of you, not the on camera version. You're way cooler. You're way more chill. And they're like, I was not expecting you to be like this. I was expecting you to be like, ah, you know, like you are on camera. But like to a degree, it's acting. You know what I mean?
I might actually need to take some notes on this next segment as far as your golf page that you're working with, because I can't hit a fucking ball. So I would love to hear what you're doing with the golf page and how people can follow along.
Yeah, so I decided to niche down, really. I think I saw, you know, going through TikTok so much, I find that the new content creator is very niche based, and it's really hard to do something so broad. So I decided to niche down and focus on, you know, one of my hobbies, which is golf. And it's a really popular topic right now. You know, you got Good, you got Bob Does Sports, you got GM Golf, Busta Jack, all these really good creators. And basically they just go out and play golf and have a good time. And people enjoy watching it just as much as people enjoy listening to podcasts. There's a niche for everything. And kind of what inspired me was I was on TikTok and there's this guy, he works at a pizza shop. And while he's doing his normal job, he's
Sally
creating
Slices?
TikToks. I can't remember his name.
You want a corner or a side? Let's bless this pizza. I'm pretty sure it's Sally Slices. It's the best. We were actually going to get him on the show. So, Sally, if you're listening, still waiting for that invite to be hit up. But, yeah, you're talking about Sally Slices for sure.
Yeah. So I realized, like, oh, you know, people really enjoy seeing people do normal things. What's something that I enjoy doing that other people enjoy doing? And that's golf. And I think, you know, just through my skill set of making vlogs and editing for so many years, that as I started vlogging, you know, you take little bits and pieces from each, you know, vlogger that you like, and you put those whatever 5 people into you, and then that's you. So that's what I'm doing with golf. I'm, you know, taking one bit from him, one bit from him, one bit from him that I like, and then creating that into my own channel. And then, you know, I think I can do really well if I, you know, put my head down and focus on it. So I'm excited for it. I'm a little worried about like the winter time, how a golf channel would do because it's seasonal. But yeah, that's basically why I'm in Ohio right now. I'm filming a bunch of golf content. It's just easier here than it is in Los Angeles.
For sure.
And I'm kind of stocking it up to get those out.
I always wonder if, looking back on your days as a sports broadcaster, if one, you miss it at all. And I guess you didn't really do it long enough to get the everyday grind of it, but was there any sort of a a regret of not going into that space, but I doubt there is, considering how successful you've been and what sportscasting has become. With that being said, had Mark Dohner stayed in television, what TV market would he be in right now?
I would definitely be in the Pat McAfee lane. I think I would start my own thing and be able to say whatever I want. I think that was the big thing that I hated about journalism, right? Like, the reason I got out of journalism was because in school we were being taught how to lead a newscast, and it was all violence based. It was, you lead the newscast with burglary, murder, fire, and you tease that at the beginning and then you put it at the end so that people stick around for the whole entire newscast. And I was like, this sucks, dude. Like, I fucking hate the news. If you watch the news right now, there is nothing positive about it. They're just instilling fear in every single person. And, they sit here and they're like, we should ban TikTok. It's really badly influencing the youth. Well, why don't you ban the fucking news? Because what we were taught in school is sensationalism and all this shit. You're not allowed to lie in the news, but people sit here and lie in the news all the time, and there's no consequences anymore. The fact that you can go to a news station and CNN is Democrat and Fox is Republican, that shouldn't be the case. It should just be fucking news. Why are they giving their opinion, bro? Just report the facts. It's stupid. So I think that I would be in the Pat McAfee lane if I stuck with sports broadcasts. Moving to Los Angeles actually made me and obviously focus on videos. I didn't get to watch many sports because I didn't want to watch, college football at 9 a.m. on a Saturday or the NFL at 10 a.m. on a Sunday. It just wasn't convenient for me. So I'm not really into sports unless I'm in Ohio because there's nothing else to do here.
I love that. Ban the fucking news. Let's make the t-shirts, man.
And you see how fired up I get about it, bro? I fucking hate the news.
Hey, do you hate local sportscasters? Do you have an issue with local sportscasters? I guess
he sure does.
Former local sportscasters.
No, I don't have an issue with that.
Yeah, no.
But how could you? I mean, how could you, dude? It's crazy, man. And I say this to my dad too. It's like, because older people say that the younger people are ruining the world, and they go, this young generation, you're ruining this America, blah, blah, blah. Who the fuck's in charge? Your generation, bro. You guys are ruining America.
They raised us too. I'm like, you're the ones that put a cell phone in a 12-year-old's hand. Like, you have all the power there, buddy. So shout out Tim Klauke, my dad. It's not us, it's you.
That shit gets me fired up.
You got anything else, Hudson?
No, I do want to point out that he just reiterated what I told you the other day about how in California, the reason they don't give a shit about sports is because they got other shit to do. And you told me that's bullshit. He just repeated exactly what I said. They got the beach. They got hacky sack. They got chicks. They got it all, dude.
They do care about sports, though. That's the thing. Like the Dodgers, the Lakers, they're getting big-time crowds. I think it's more so there's just so many people there. There's so many transplants. I think people care about sports. They just care about their teams. Like Dohner's a Browns fan. I'm sure you get up for the Browns here and there, no?
Sometimes I'll meet up with my buddies Lucas and Jimmer. We'll go to a bar and watch the Browns. There's like one Browns bar in Hollywood. But, yeah, as much like it's the transplant thing, right? You can go to a Chargers game against the Steelers, and the whole fucking crowd is Pittsburgh Steelers fans. There's these new NFL teams in Los Angeles, but they don't have fans because everyone from LA is from somewhere else. You know what I mean?
You like Hollywood?
Right.
No, not anymore. I actually think this is my last year there.
Okay. So
I just think I've outgrown it. What used to be cool to me is no longer cool. I don't want to go to the club anymore. Once something becomes your home, it's like when I come back to my hometown, you're like, oh, there's nothing to do. Well, I've lived in LA for 8 years. So to me, there's nothing to do. I've done everything. And just, really the energy in Los Angeles post-pandemic has just been terrible. I mean, you look at San Francisco, they're like breaking in to cars and smash and grabs and so much crime going on. Like, you could just do whatever you want there anymore, and no one even cares.
Hey, that sounds like an Ohio guy that's getting ready to potentially come back to his roots, or maybe like South Carolina, or are you a Texas guy? Like, where in the world's Mark Dohner going next?
I was thinking Florida, just so I could golf year round for the Golf Channel.
Yeah, I like that. Find a nice little nook in Florida.
Good content in Florida.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Hey, man, thanks for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's
Thanks, man.
Former Ohio Bobcat Mark Dohner. Go Bobcats. Hey, see ya, Iowa State. See ya, Cyclones.